you guys took a big chunk of what you need to know. With that, I got a nice little homework assignment. Whatever time you have, I want you to find a kana chart much like this and study the symbols. Make sure that the one that you capture has stroke orders placed on them, like this one. And also, do your best to make sure to find one that also has the symbols that also has the letters that I also whipped out. So, that will end my stream here. So, that being said, my little Take Him Grammar Guide Elite Edition will continue at the same time, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for coming to the stream. It is wonderful to have you guys on board, whether you're just dropping by or whether you're just here to listen to what I have to say, even though it's kind of weird. So with that, 生配信を見てくださってありがとうございました。ご視聴ありがとうございました。昭和6時でした。それではまた。So, thank you so much. You guys are really awesome, and I really appreciate that. So, catch you guys soon.
Y'all ready to play? Courtesy on the team invite?
No, 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 I'm coming. I just gotta help you real quick.
Okay, okay, okay.
You can't copy. You're looking at it.
Yes, but you can't copy your face.
I'm looking at my phone first.
Alrighty. The stream will start shortly. Just give me a few seconds, like literal seconds, and we will get started. Okay, we will begin the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Konbanwa. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back once again to my little stream here. I'm Showa60, and tonight, we're continuing where we left off with our Japanese lesson powered by Tae Kim's Grammar Guide. Now, the PDF you're looking at right now, is actually a modified version of Tae Kim's Grammar Guide. Right now it doesn't look like much, but you'll see once we go even further. Now, where we last left off from last night's stream is we talked about the problem with textbooks, and earlier I showed you guys how to write and pronounce hiragana and katakana. And this will assume that you have access to any form of material needed to take as much notes as you need. So if you have pen, paper, or a computer setup that allows for multiple screens, or if you have like a tablet that allows you to write notes via an app or so, then by all means you might want to get those ready, because we're about to continue where we left off in the hiragana and katakana section. But to recap a little bit of what's being said here from Tae Kim's Grammar Guide, there's over 2,200 joyo kanji, as in the type of kanji that the Japanese mostly give a crap about, whereas there's a total of 40,000. So that's 2,200 out of a total of 40 to roughly around 50,000 that are derived from Chinese characters. But we ain't going to be studying kanji like that for real. But what we are going to do is pick up where we left off with the hiragana and katakana. So I'm gonna open Clip Studio Paint real quick, and we're going to continue where we left off as per usual. Now, what I have here is a kana chart containing a lot of the basic hiragana and katakana, all guided by consonants and Romaji. Now, just like with the last stream, the only reason for why we're doing this is to wane people off of using Romaji and to be less reliant on it. Because, well, that will do. Because what Romaji will do at the end of the day is slow down your ability to read the Japanese alphabet, especially when you're dealing with kanji. So if you want to read Japanese manga without having to translate or rely heavily on English releases or whatever, then my only suggestion would be to practice your hiragana and katakana, not just with the written language, but also with your pronunciation of it as well. So whether you're watching the live stream whether you're watching this live stream or watching the VOD on YouTube, which will be posted a day after, which will be this coming Friday as of this stream, or if you're watching it today, or which is Friday, but point is, I'm here to help you learn hiragana and katakana. Now, for those of you watching this on YouTube, for those of you watching this on my YouTube channel via a VOD or video on demand, if you feel lost, by all means, pause the video to keep track of what you're writing and the pronunciation, or backtrack if you ever so choose, because this will be a VOD. This will be a VOD. Now, last I checked, we were at the S section. We already finished the S section. It will be... You know what? I got a better idea.
They said I know we
I seem to be a sucker for random scenes of old movies. I'm gonna paste this right here.
Oh, what are they? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I got you. I'll save they next time.
So yeah, this is where you'll be
Yeah.
going.
Oh, okay, I got you.
In case you have no idea what's going on. Now then. So, take a good look at the counter chart right now before we get started. You can, if you're watching this on VOD, you're free to pause it at any given time you can. But I'll be holding this for a good 20 more seconds. So I'll give you guys at least that. Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Zippo. Alright, let's get started. Now I'm gonna get this microphone out of the way real quick. Get straight to the Tachitsuteto part. Ta, da, ta, da, ta, da. One more time. Ta, da. Chi, ji, chi, ji, chi, ji, chi, ji. Oh, hold on. Okay, so this particular one is kind of tricky. So I'm going to provide an example. Okay, that being said, I want you guys to think of the word tsunami. when you hear at least this right here. All right. Now, again, this is going to be one hell of a doozy. So let's get let's get to it. Z, 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 z. Don't worry, guys. It's almost over. If you're watching this right now, I'm pretty sure the intimidation is real. If not, or not. Z, 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 z. One more time. Z, z. All right, hard part's over. Te, de, te, de, te, de, te, de. One more time. Te, de. All right.
Hey, I am back. Sorry about that. I had to take out the trash. Completely forgot about it. Dude, it's not me.
To,
I'm whispering right now.
do, to, do,
Nah.
to, do, to, do. One more time. To, do. All right. Next up is N. Na. 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 One more time. Na. Ni. 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 One more time. Ni. Nu. 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 One more time. Nu. Ne. 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 One more time. Ne. No. 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 One more time. No. Okay. Now the next one going forward is going to be a nice little one, as there are 3 variations for this one. So with that being said, oh, it's too small. Ha. Ba. Pa. 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 One more. Ha. Ba. Pa. He. Be. P. He. Be. P. He. Be. P. One more time. He. Be. P. Now this next one's going to be really interesting. Fu. Bu. Pu. Fu. Bu. Pu. Fu. Bu. Pu. One more time. Bu. Fu. Poop. All right. Hit. Bit. Hit. Hit. Bit. Pit. Hit. Bit. Pit. One more time. Hit. Bit. Pit. All right. Ho. Bo. Po. Ho. Bo. Po. Ho. Bo. Po. One more time. Ho. Bo. Po. All right. Next up is the letter M. Ma. 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 One more time. Ma. Me. 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 One more time. Me. Me. Mu. 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 All right. One more time before I get started with the next one. Mu. Me. 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 One more time. Me. Mo. 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 One more time. Mo. Okay, the Y, as for the Y's, there's going to be 3. So, don't expect too much. Okay, so this one you might hear periodically when meeting a Japanese person with a with a Kansai dialect. Ya. 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 One more time. Ya. You. 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 Yo. 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 Okay, that's it for the Y's. And I think I should just bring this up real quick. Now, eventually, of course, you're going to meet alphabets that are kind of along the lines of these make up a single syllable. These symbols right here. Now, if you come across this, now, this probably won't make much sense elsewhere, but I don't know. But trust me, you'll see something much like these in the future, so we won't delve too long into this. Well, since we're on the subject of R, now the R's are a little bit tricky because they require a specific form of tongue use. The R's in Japanese sound like a soft D sound. For example, la, da, 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 da. Li, di, li, di, 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 Di. 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 One more time. Di. Do. 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 One more time. Do. De. 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 One more time. De. Do. 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 Oh yeah, we are clearly at the home stretch now because there are 3 other letters in the alphabet that we will cover. And once that's done, we'll skip on over to the real stuff. What? 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 Okay, now this one's gonna be really weird because, like, if you're new to Japanese, know this. This is actually pronounced ha, but when it comes to sentences, it's going to be pronounced wa. So, here's an example. Now, savor this moment because it will be the last time I ever use Romaji like this. Boku wa shouwa desu. Boku wa shouwa desu. Boku wa shouwa desu. Now, think of it as a little preview for what's to come, because in some sentences it will sound like this symbol right here, wa. Like I already told you that this portion of the lesson will be the last and only time you'll be relying on Romaji. Going forward, I will assume that going forward, I will assume that you've gotten a hold of how hiragana and katakana works. Now, continue where we left off. Whoa. 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 One more time. Whoa. We're at the home stretch, folks. Mm. 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 Yeah, about this one. On its own, and yet, on its own, it's pronounced like that. It sounds just as you just heard it before. Mm. 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 For example, hold on a second. That's not. So yeah, that's not how it looks. De. Mm. De. Mm. De. Mm. De. Mm. So yeah, that should be all the hiragana and katakana for right now. So what I want you guys to do in your spare time. Now, what I want you guys to do in your spare time. Ah, dang it. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. So, what I want you guys to do in your spare time when you have a chance is watch the VOD of this video, of this live stream, and take as much notes as you can, or assuming that you already have access to a kana chart, take your notes from there, and please remember the pronunciations. With that, I thank you very much for withstanding this torture, if we're being honest, because let's not mince words here. Exactly what that was. Okay, intonation. As you'll find out in the next section, every character in hiragana and the katakana equivalent corresponds with a vowel or consonant vowel syllable sound, with the single exception of and characters. More on this in a later time. The system of letter for each syllable sound makes pronunciation absolutely clear with no ambiguities. However, the simplicity of the system does not mean that the pronunciation in Japanese is simple. In fact, the rigid structure of the fixed syllable sound in Japanese creates the challenge for learning proper intonation. Or at least that's what they think. Intonation of high and low pitches is a crucial aspect of the spoken language. For example, homophones can have different pitches of low and high tones, resulting in a slightly different sound despite sharing the same pronunciation. The biggest obstacle for obtaining proper and natural sounding speech is incorrect intonation. Many students often speak without paying attention to the correct enunciation of pitches, making speech sound unnatural. The classic foreigner's accent. I'm pretty sure you guys have heard it multiple times. Basically, many of the Japanese anime and drama creators letting you know that your Japanese is good, but it also sucks at the same time. And they're like, yeah, fix that mess. And this is where people like Dogen come in, where they will teach you pitch accent properly. Now, hold on to your butts, folks, because I'm about to show you I'm about to show you one of the most important tools you'll ever need. The app I'm using right now is a computerized dictionary. Now, if you saw if you saw the VOD that was just posted on YouTube, then chances are I already told you about the resources that you'll be getting, and EBWin is one of them. There's a certain type of file that I forgot the name of it. I'm terribly sorry. That will basically give you every single dictionary you have that you can get access to. Now, right now, I have it set to the NHK Pitch Accent Dictionary. And we're about to define something. Now I'm going to turn... Hold on a sec. Oh yeah, that's right, the sound is off. Come on now. So, this is the NHK Pitch Accent Dictionary. In this digital rendition, you'll be hearing the pitch accent for every word. Now, this particular word is called tukang. Tukang. If you don't believe me, hear it for yourself.
中間中間中間中間
No, I'll be honest with you. I am not the authority on pitch accent. However, what I will tell you is this. There are a total of 4 forms of Japanese pitch accent that you'll need to understand going forward. Heiban. Heiban. Now, the Heiban style of pitch accent basically means there's no actual pitch. Even the sentence particle will follow the pitch as well. For example, kiku, 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 meaning to listen or to ask. Pretty sure you guys have seen this word previously in the last video or in the last stream. But yeah, that's essentially what Heiban is. Essentially, you're just saying the word flat. Atamadaka. Atamadaka. Now, atamadaka is essentially the first letter having a high pitch, while the rest of the syllables or moras are completely low pitch going forward. Here's an example word. Kami. 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 Kami, meaning God. Kami. Better yet, let's just throw in something a little hard. Let's just throw something hard real quick. Let's see. What word can I throw in? Yeah, that'll work. Okay. This will throw a lot of people off right here. Ken. Ke. Ken. Ken. Ke. Ken. Ken. Ke. Difficult, isn't it? You might be thinking that it'll be... Now, initially, you'll be thinking that Ken is Heiban, but in actuality is Atamataka. Alright, so next up on the docket is Nakataka. 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 What that means is the syllables in between the two syllables in between the word are the ones with the high pitch. That's what nakataka means. The two moras in the middle of the word have a higher pitch than the first and last set of moras. Perfect example. Stop me if you've seen this one. Nihon. 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 You got that? Yes? No? Maybe so? Alright. Last but certainly not least of the four is Odaka. 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 Odaka is the same as Heiban, but with one little difference. Allow me to provide an example. 妹は25歳。妹は、妹は、妹は、妹は、妹、妹は、which 妹は25歳, which means my little sister is 25 years old. Of course, in all actuality, I don't have a little sister at all. 妹さんはいない。妹はいない。I don't have a little sister. I really don't. Now I have an older sister. So that's 4 pitch accent styles. We won't go into this long detail about pitch accent. If you want to do that, there are tons of videos on YouTube that will cover pitch accent. My recommendation is Dogen. He is a madlet when it comes to the whole concept of phonetics and pitch accent. And trust me when I say this, it is very important that you at least get pitch accent before going forward, because what I'm about to do from here on out will assume that not only will assume such, but just to be on the safe side, of course, I did this. Now, what I did was a painstaking... Okay, for every one of you watching via the stream or VOD, or YouTube VOD, what I did was I put pitch accent markers on almost every single vocabulary word in this PDF. This is why I call it a modified version of this grammar guide. This is what separates it from the vanilla version, which Takim has provided for every single person who wants to study Japanese. Because this has been a common problem. I've noticed that this is a common problem for people getting into Japanese. There's next to no emphasis on pitch accent. Now, to Takim's credit, he did provide the hiragana or katakana pronunciations for every kanji-induced word, which is an added bonus. Now, there's a reason for why we skipped a lot going on here, because from here on out, this will assume that you have the grasp of hiragana. And this will assume that you have a grasp of hiragana and katakana from now on, because we're about to get into the big kid section here. Right now we're in basic grammar. Now you're really going to want to get your pen and papers out for this one, or if you have access to Windows Notepad or something similar to it, if you have like Apple or Linux and you're watching this. All right, so let's really get started. Basic grammatical structures. Now that we have learned how to write Japanese and pronounce it, we can begin going over the basic grammatical structure of the language. This section primarily covers all parts of speech: nouns, adjectives, verbs, and adverbs. It will also describe how to integrate various parts of speech into a coherent sentence by using particles. By the end of this section, you should have an understanding of how basic sentences are constructed. Just remember, all of the modifications I made, and by mods I mean what I just mentioned with these pitch accent markers, this is all for you. So, let's get started with the vocabulary words that have been provided for us for part 3.2.1, declaring something is so using this symbol right, this letter right here, da. The vocabulary words are as follows, and I want you to pay close attention. I want you to pay close attention as possible if you're on this stream. If you are watching the VOD on YouTube, you're free to backtrack at any given time in case you miss something. All right. 人、人、人、学生、学生、学生、学生、学生、元気、元気、元気、元気、元気. One of the trickiest parts of Japanese is that there is no verb for the state of being like the verb to be in English. You can, however, declare something is by attaching the hiragana character da to a noun or na adjective only. We will learn about the na adjectives in the section on adjectives later. So, declaring something is so using da. Attach da to the noun or na adjective. For example, 人だ equals 人だ. Here are the examples. 人だ、学生だ、元気だ。人だ、学生だ、元気だ. Alright then. That being said, I'm going to provide a sentence of my own. Hope you guys are paying attention. Haishin da. Haishin. Haishin da. Alright, so let me increase the size here in case you don't know what's going on. Now, in this notepad, I used a font called called Kanji Stroke Order. I want you to search for that. Now, if you have Japanese on your computer and have access to input typing methods, then I suggest you search online for this particular font, as this will help you in the long run. If you don't feel like practicing kanji, but rather looking up vocabulary words. Haishin da. Haishin. Okay. For Japanese dictionaries, since this is Heibon, chances are it's going to be this number 0, which means it's a Heibon word. So please keep good tabs of that, okay? Haishin. Haishin. I mean, if you don't believe me... Oh, God. Here's proof. Let's try Shinmeikai.
配信配信配信
There we go. All right. 人だ、学生だ、元気だ. Seems easy enough. But here's the real kicker, though, according to Take Him. A state of being can be implied without using this. So, now, assuming that you're in a setting where it's okay to use dameguchi, aka plain speech, or informal speech, you can either use da or you don't have to. It's a matter of preference at this point. Now, I wouldn't recommend using impolite speech to like a boss or somebody you don't really know, especially for somebody who you're trying to hook up with. Okay? So, yeah, it's in your best interest to not use this kind of speech to absolute strangers or people that are above you in certain classes or standing. Like, the Japanese are very particular about this. This is not an anime. That being said, here's some examples of sentences that doesn't require the use of the word da or even desu in certain situations. Again, think carefully before you use this on someone. Genki. Genki. Now, about this one. Now, about this particular situation. Now, this means, are you well or are you doing all right? However, note the question mark. This is where your intonation starts to kick in. If you're asking somebody and you're not using the quote unquote traditional approach to asking questions, like genki desu ka? No, seriously, you'll sound like a robot saying. No, you sound like a robot when you use that, especially around people you know. Point is, how I said it here is a stark contrast from genki. 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 If I'm saying it like this, genki. Genki, that means I'm asking somebody. But if I say it like this, genki, it means it's just a basic sentence or an exclamation stating that, yeah, I'm doing all right. So you may be wondering, what's the point of using da? Well, the main difference is that it's a declarative statement. Is that a declarative statement makes the sentence sound more emphatic and forceful in order to make it more, well, declarative. Therefore, it is more common to hear men use da at the end of sentences. Now, I did say this isn't an anime, but yes, you can learn Japanese from anime. Otherwise, what's the whole point of watching it if you can't use it? I mean, people use their home/target language in shows and other forms of media all the time. So why not? The declarative da is also needed in various grammatical structures where a state of being must be explicitly declared. There are also times where you cannot attach it. It's all quite a pain in the butt, really, but you don't have to worry about it just yet. In other words, the only time you ever use da is when you're writing. Now, the only other time you should be using da, apart from conversations with people you know closely, is when you're writing. And as stated earlier, never go informal with like your authority figure or a total stranger. Like that's a no-no. Clearly it isn't. Like, don't learn. If you're learning Japanese from anime, don't learn from Luffy, don't learn from Naruto or Goku. They will get you killed. Or, at the very least, you'll get some awkward stares. Conjugating the negative state of being. Oh ho 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 ho. Yeah, this is going to be fun. Now, I made the mistake of not putting pitch markers on here, but because I went into this assuming that this was going to be for me, but I never really factored in until like later on in the modding process. So, but don't worry. If the previous section wasn't an indicator, then it's clear what this will sound like. 学生 友達 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 元気. The translations are also provided, so keep tabs of that in the future. For the foreseeable future. In Japanese, negative and past tense are all expressed by conjugation. We can conjugate a noun or adjective to either its negative or past tense to say that something is not X or that something was X. This may be a bit hard to grasp at first, but none of these state of being conjugations make anything declarative like da does. We'll learn how to make these tense declaratives by attaching da to the end of the sentence in a later lesson. First, for the negative, attach janai to the noun or non-adjective. Here's an example. Gakusei janai. Gakusei janai. Gakusei janai. Here's some examples. Gakusei janai. Gakusei janai. Tomodachi janai. Genki janai. Genki janai. Genki janai. Genki janai. Alright. Now, assuming that you already have this written down or kept track of, I'm going to delete this and provide an example sentence of my own. Let's try something like... Nihonjin janai. Nihonjin janai. Nihonjin janai. What that means is, I'm not Japanese. Now, seeing that I'm currently a disembodied voice right now, some might make the exception that I am Japanese American or something. Except, I am not Japanese at all. Hence, this term right here. Nihonjin janai. Nihonjin janai. Okay. Now for the fun part. Conjugating the past state of being. I'm assuming that you've gotten a grasp of this. If you have any questions, write them down in the comments. Now, if you have questions about the previous stuff that was talked about, by all means, write them down in the chat box. Or what you can do, if you're watching this on VOD, just let me know in the comments, and I'll try my best to answer. And we got the same words as before. Gakusei, tomodachi, genki. Now, genki can also be used as a greeting. Now, let that be known. Now, you're going to want to pay attention for this one, in terms of conjugation. We will now learn the past tense of the state of being. To say something was something, attach datta to a noun or non-adjective. In order to say the negative past was not, conjugate the negative to the negative past tense by dropping e from janai by adding katta. Past tense state of being. Now, for the past tense state of being, attach datta to a noun or a non-adjective. Example, tomodachi datta. Tomodachi datta. Tomodachi datta. Negative past state of being. For the negative past state of being, conjugate the noun or non-adjective to the negative first, and then replace the e of janai with katta. For example, tomodachi janai will equal, for the past tense equivalent to tomodachi janai is tomodachi janakatta. Tomodachi janakatta. And that will equal tomodachi janakatta, which means that wasn't my friend. So here's some examples. Gakusei datta. Gakusei datta. Tomodachi janakatta. Tomodachi janakatta. Genki janakatta. Genki janakatta. Genki janakatta. Genki janakatta. Now, some of you might be inquiring about the little tsu in the middle. This is something of a consonant extender. If you remember the kana practice from earlier, you've seen this before. However, if you shrink it, it serves as the aforementioned consonant extender. Now, let's create a sentence of our own. Let's go with kuruma datta. Kuruma datta. Kuruma datta. Meaning, that was a car. Another sentence would be okay, let's extend it real quick. 飛行機じゃなかった。飛行機じゃなかった。飛行機じゃなかった。飛行機じゃなかった。Which means that wasn't a plane. It's Superman. 飛行機じゃなかった。車だった。飛行機じゃなかった。車だった。飛行機じゃなかった。飛行機じゃなかった。All right. Again, if you have any questions, let me know in the chat box. Or if you're watching this on YouTube VOD, on my YouTube channel via VOD, be sure to let me know in the comments, and I will try to answer to the best of my ability. Conjugation summary. Hope you guys are taking notes here if you're watching this. We've now learned how to express the state of being in all four tenses. Next, we will learn some particles, which will allow us to assign rules to words. Here's a summary chart of the conjugations we learned in this section. For non-past, positive, 学生だ. The negative variant will be 学生じゃない. 学生だ. 学生じゃない. For past, 学生だった. 学生じゃなかった. Everybody got it so far? Tick yes, or let me know in the comments if you understand what was being said. Now, for the VOD watchers here, if you have any discrepancies that I'm not aware of regarding this lesson, please let me know in a respectful manner in the comments. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Now, if you've been watching the hiragana and katakana practice, I'm pretty sure you heard me talk about how this particular letter is pronounced differently when used as a particle. If not, or if you didn't listen, here's a refresher course. Originally, this is pronounced ha, but when it's used as a particle, it's pronounced wa. And you're about to see it, and going forward, you will be seeing this periodically. The particles here are ha, mo, and ga. Whew. Boy, oh boy. We're about to have some fun. But before we do that, let's listen to some Tekken music while I take a nice little break.
角
gambling,
性的
I suppose we can get started, I guess, with the music intact. Make it somewhat interesting, I guess. Alright. You still have your pen and paper and stuff for those of you who are watching. be it on this stream or on demand. Alright, so defining grammatical functions with particles. We want to now make good use of what we learned in the last lesson by associating a noun with another noun. This is done with something called particles. Particles are one or more hiragana characters that attach the end of a word to define the grammatical function of that word in the sentence. Using the correct particles is very important because the meaning of a sentence can completely change just by changing the particles. For example, the sentence eat fish can become the fish eats simply by changing one particle. Wa. Okay, this is going to be very important because this time we have a few new words. Gakse, gakse, un, 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 which means yes. Ashita, 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 un, kyo, kyo, kyo. Okay. Now, I want you to see where my mouse is pointed at. Where the Atamadaka marker is, this is all one syllable here. Kyo, 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 kyo is one entire pronunciation, followed up by a lower pitch u. Now, I made a mistake and forgot to put markers on here, but this is a Nakazaka word. This is a Nakazaka word. Shiken. Shiken. Alright, to help you guys out. Yeah, no, this isn't gonna work. Make sure you guys hear this.
Skin. 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 Skin.
Alright, back to business. That's what skin sounds like. Skin. Skin. That's what it sounds like. Alright. The first particle we will learn is the topic particle. The topic particle identifies what it is you're talking about. Essentially, the topic of your sentence. Let's say a person says, not student. This is a perfectly valid sentence in Japanese, but it doesn't tell us much without knowing what the person is talking about. The topic particle will allow us to express what our sentences are about. The topic particle is the character wa. Now, while this character is normally pronounced as ha, as we just talked about earlier, it is pronounced wa only when it's being used as a topic particle. That being said, here's some examples. Like, here's a mini skit right here. Arise wa gakusei. Gakusei. Now, this particular sentence is using wa. Now, in real-world application, assuming that you understand the context here, sentence topic particles such as wa or ga would be essentially removed from the equation in most situations. The only exception would be in more professional settings, such as reading an essay, or if you're being a newscaster or something. But for now, just to be on the safe side, because better safe than sorry, you're better off just using wa for right now in certain situations like this one. So I'll read the example again. アリスは、アリスは学生? うん、学生. Here, Bob is indicating that his question is about Alice. Notice that once the topic is established, Alice does not have to repeat the topic to answer the question about herself, as you just witnessed. The second example goes a little along the lines of Bob saying, John wa ashita. 明日じゃない。明日じゃない. Since we have no context, we don't have enough information to make any sense of this conversation. It obviously makes no sense for John to actually be tomorrow. Given that context, as long as the sentence has something to do with John and tomorrow, it can mean anything. For instance, they could be talking about when John is taking the exam. So, yeah, this sentence literally has no context. These two are the only ones who are capable of reading the room given this conversation. Outside of these two, we don't know what the hell they're talking about in regards to John. Pardon my French. Now for example 3. Now, I really want you guys to listen. 今日は試験だ. 今日は試験だ. John は John は明日. The last example shows how generic the topic of a sentence is. A topic can be referring to any action or object from anywhere, even including other sentences. For example, in the last sentence from the previous example, even though the sentence is about when the exam is for John, the word exam doesn't appear anywhere in the sentence. We'll see a more specific particle that ties more closely to the sentence at the end of this lesson with the identifier particle. So, if you have any questions or concerns for those watching the stream, let me know in the chat box. Whereas in the VOD of this video on YouTube, let me know in the comments. Okay, next on the docket is mo, the inclusive topic particle. Here are some vocabulary words. 学生 demo You'll be hearing these in later examples. So pay close attention as much as you can. VOD watchers can pause at any given time or backtrack if you have any concerns. Another particle that is very similar to the topic particle is the inclusive topic particle. It is essentially the topic particle with the additional meaning of also. Basically, it can introduce another topic in addition to the current topic. The inclusive topic particle is the mo character, and its use is best explained by an example. アリスは学生? トモも学生. アリスは学生? トモも学生. The inclusion of mo must be consistent with the answer. It would not make sense to say, I am a student and Tom is also not a student. Instead, use the wa particle to make a break from the inclusion, as seen in the next example. アリスは学生? でも、トモは学生じゃない. So you notice the difference between example 2 and example 1. Below is an example of inclusion with the negative. アリスは学生? トモも学生じゃない. So yeah, now we have the second half of the wa and ga controversy in the form of the ga identifier particle. So with that, here are some vocabulary words. 2 new ones at that. With 2 extra new ones at that. Dare. 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 学生。学生。私。私。私. Okay. So, concerning watashi, here's a little preview of what you'll be seeing in the foreseeable future. Watashi is essentially what we call ichininsho. 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 一人称っていうのは、私、俺、僕など、自分を紹介する言葉です。Meaning, it's an introductory pronoun. It's a form of introductory pronoun. For example, I is a 一人称. Is a 一人称 type of pronoun. And you'll be seeing now with Japan. Now the thing about Japan is that it has some very diverse identifiers, much like watashi. So expect that expect something like that in the foreseeable future if you're new. My most frequent ichininsho to use is boku. I think it suits me personally. But when the time comes when you come across ichininshos other than watashi, you find one that is best suited for you. You find one that speaks to you. It's kind of like choosing your weapon. Okay, so we can make a topic using wa and mo particle. Using the wa and mo particles. But what if we don't know what the topic is? What if I wanted to ask, who is the student? What I need is some kind of identifier because I don't know who the student is. If I use the topic particle, the question would become, is who the student? And that doesn't make any sense because who is not an actual person. Unless you're a rock band. Unless it's a rock band. The Who. I suck at jokes. This is where the ga particle comes into play. It is also referred to as the subject particle, but I hate the name subject. But I hate that name since subject means something completely different in English grammar. Instead, I call it the identifier particle because the particle indicates that the speaker wants to identify something unspecified. So yeah, this is the author of this whole PDF talking, by the way, so keep that in mind. Because this is his PDF, I just made a few modifications. Here's an example of how ga is used. 誰が学生? John が学生. John が学生. Bob wants to identify who among all the possible candidates is a student. Alice responds that John is the one. Notice, Alice could also have answered with the topic particle to indicate that, speaking of John, she knows that he is a student. Maybe not the student. You can see the difference in the next example. 誰が学生? 学生は誰? The first sentence speaks to identify a specific person or, quote-unquote, student, while the second sentence is simply talking about the student. You cannot replace ga with wa in the first sentence because who would become the topic and the question would have become, is who a student? The two particles, wa and ga, may seem very similar only because it is impossible to translate them directly into English. For example, the two sentences below have the same English translation. 私は学生. 私が学生. However, they only seem similar because English cannot express information about the context as succinctly as Japanese sometimes can. In the first sentence, watashi is the topic. The sentence means speaking about me. I am a student. However, the second sentence is specifying who the gakusei is. If we want to know who the student is, the ga particle tells us it's watashi. You can also think about the ga particle as always answering a silent question. The second sentence might be answering a question. Who is the student? I often translate the topic particle as for, about, and the identifier particle as the one, the thing, to illustrate the difference. Again, this is the author talking. Watashi wa gakusei. Watashi ga gakusei. The wa and ga particles are actually quite different if you think of it the right way. The ga particle identifies a specific property of something, while the wa particle is used only to bring up a new topic of conversation. This is why, in longer sentences, it is common to separate the topic with commas to remove ambiguity about which part of the sentence the topic applies to. Well, technically, it's the most likely translation given the lack of context. Alright, so with that, we'll end the lesson today. Now, for VOD watchers, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And with that, this is a much shorter stream than per usual. And with that, I thank you guys for sticking with me. For the VOD watchers especially, thank you so much for watching and for putting up with 2 hours of yours truly using Take Him's grammar guide as a nice little reference point for having you guys learn this process with me. Or in my case, I'm just relearning. So, here's a little homework assignment. I want you to get your hands... Now, if you want the modified PDFs that I have crafted, then by all means, you can consult with me on Instagram. The links are provided on my on this streaming site on Twitch and on my YouTube. Email me and I will do my best to provide the PDF for you. With that said, thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you in the next stream or video. Now, I'll be doing these every Wednesday and Thursday of the week if possible. The schedule will be subject to change. With that, this is Show signing out. Love you guys. You're wonderful. See you later. Mata ne!